Going to do the chat?
Yes, I will, for sure.
Okay, thank you. Okay, great.
No problem. So good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's presentation. Just a couple of housekeeping things as we get started. If you could just put yourselves on mute as the presentation is going on, then feel free to unmute yourself to ask any questions that you may have, or if you feel more comfortable, you could use the text chat and I'll watch out for those questions and I'll let Suzanne know that they're there. So I will just do a brief introduction here and welcome everybody to the presentation on Sustainable Livelihoods Model. And I wanted to welcome back my coworker and my friend, Suzanne Tighe, who we worked a while ago at PARO, and now she's a business growth advisor here at PARO and now a business counselor. So I just wanted to, I'm so excited to have her back, and I'm going to hand it over to you.
Okay, thanks, Lori. Yeah, so it looks like we have a couple people, and what I'm suggesting, if you want to take yourself off mute, Stephanie and Charlotte, and tell me where you're from, and is that your business or where you at, and what piqued your interest in joining us today? I'll start with you, Stephanie.
I work for a therapy office. We do counseling, couples, family, individual counseling. I'm the new business manager, so I'm just kind of trying to get in as much information as possible on all the subjects. And so I've been signing up for quite a few of these. I'm just trying to figure everything out.
Yeah, well, and you know what? So there's a lot to learn in business, and it's a daily thing for the rest of your life. Trust me.
Yep, and I was the furthest thing from business when I started here in May, so I've never had any business experience. So it's new, it's interesting. I love it though.
Oh, for sure. Well, thank you. And what about you, Charlotte?
I'm Charlotte Hendricks. I'm a professional engineer with 20 years in manufacturing, and just started my consulting business for like Lean In and for Lean Six Sigma. And I came upon Chantel Fraser through a professional women's group, and honestly, I was really I wouldn't say languishing, but like what I realize now is when you're self-learning, we can really overcomplicate things. And so recognizing, PARO has some resources that I can do, and I guess like Stephanie, just finding out as much as I can to do this strategically and smartly. But yeah, I'm really excited to, a lot of what the work I do is sustainable and is about
Good
inspiration. So.
And where are you located, Charlotte?
London, Ontario.
London?
Yep.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
I did live up in North Shore of Lake Superior for a lot of my life.
And Stephanie, where are you located?
I'm in Timmins, Ontario.
Oh, in Timmins. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it looks like we have Karen that is just joining us. Karen, where are you from? Do you want to share that with us? Maybe she doesn't. Okay. Anyway, well, you know what? We'll get started. And if Karen wants to hop on at any time, then you're welcome, Karen. So the Sustainable Livelihoods Model is a model, from what I understand, was developed in the UK many years ago. And it was a consulting business out of Toronto that decided to refine it. I believe it was Tamarack Institution. And we've used it a lot at PARO, probably for the last, I want to say, well, 16 years anyway, for sure. And I was involved with a research with the Canadian Women's Foundation. For 2 years, we followed 10 women entrepreneurs here in Thunder Bay and surrounding area. I don't know if you've been to Northwestern Ontario, but it's huge. So we followed 10 women, and we tracked them with their Sustainable Livelihoods Model. And they went through the model, and they did every 3 months. And then at the end of it, of course, we gathered all the research and information, and I'll share you what the big epiphany was after all that. So let's get started. So Sustainable Livelihoods Model. building your roadmap. So think about it. If you were going on a journey, the journey of life, the journey of building your business, what would you take with you on your journey? I've had some pretty funny answers over the years. So some people say curiosity, some people say money, some people, I've heard somebody say once, well, I'm going to take my wine. So anyway, what would you take, Charlotte? You're on mute.
Yeah, for me, the bottom line was like having faith in myself and
yes.
direction. Like I was looking all over the place for initiative, but it was really inside.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Stephanie, did you want to share what you would take with you?
I think confidence.
Yes. Oh, good. Yeah. You'd need that, especially when you're starting a business. And I know I've been in business off and on for at least 25 years. And yeah, sometimes you just fly by the seat of your pants and you think, I need confidence today, and you don't have an ounce of it, but you just pretend you do and go with it. So anyway, we'll get into that.
Every other day.
There you go. See? So there's five assets in the sustainable livelihood model. So what I'm going to do right now is we're going to have a bit of fun. Okay. Do each of you have three of you, do you have a piece of paper? I'm going to hold it up. Can you see this? The sustainable livelihood model has 5 building blocks. So if you kind of just want to sketch that out on a piece of paper, it looks like a big pie. And you don't have to, you know what, it doesn't have to be a work of art, trust me. Whatever you come up with, no one will see it, but it's kind of a fun thing to do at the end of it and where you're at. So in each piece of that, and then if you wanted to list or just put in, maybe just over to the side of each piece. Are we doing that here? Here we go. So where you can see what each of the piece of pie is. Okay, so one piece of pie is financial, one piece of pie is social, one piece of pie is personal, one piece is physical, and one piece is human. So these are the 5 assets that make up the sustainable livelihoods model. Now, in each of these pieces of pie, if you start here, oh my goodness, you start here, kind of put that as a number 1, and then if you went all the way out to the edge, that would be 5. So what we're going to do is we move along and we start talking about things. I want you to kind of rate yourself from 1 to 5. 1 being, I'm, you know, that's where I feel maybe I'm at. 5 being excellent, like 5 being there's really no room for improvement. So think about where you're at in each piece of this pie as we move along. Got that? Okay, good. So here we are here. So like they say, these are these 5 pieces of pie are the building blocks of your life. And the financial assets are traditional tools really that people measure business with, or they measure your life with. But there's 4 other assets that are so important that play a role in your sustainable livelihoods model, or your sustainable livelihoods life. So this is what it looks like. I know I held it up and it was a bad example and I didn't know where to, but so there we are. You have your human, your physical, personal, social, and financial. So at the end of it, you're going to have a pie that's all colored in to some degree. So here we are here. We're going to start with the financial asset piece of pie or block. Okay. So I want you to think about, as you're going to rate yourself. And like I said, this is a very personal a personal thing that you're going to do here. So think about your income right now. Is it where you want to be? Probably not. I mean, we always want to make more money, right? Savings and debt. Do you have enough in savings? And debt doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. Sometimes when you're building your business, you need to be in debt, and that's okay. That's okay, because you're building. Valuable possessions, for example, your car. Do you have a house? Are you saving for a house? Do you want a house? Do you have a strong understanding of money? And typically when you're starting a business, a lot of people don't. So you really have to think about, and like you, Stephanie, you know, hop onto as many things as you can, and understand the money management, because that's really what business is all about. It's the money that comes in, and it's the money that goes out. And your personal attitudes to money. So do you think you have the right to succeed? And your value of time. Now, this is a really tricky one for women, especially that are starting a business, because let's say you're making, as an example, let's say you're making big, beautiful cakes. And we've all seen those gorgeous cakes that people make. And sometimes they would say, well, you know what? Okay, so you're my friend. So here, you can have this cake for $25. Meanwhile, you should be charging somebody $100. If you think about the time you've put into it, the materials and so on. And typically with women, that's what we do. Unfortunately, we say, that's okay, you can have it. Don't worry about it. So that's really important when you're in business, because it's your business. You need to make money. And you have to think about your time. You have to put a value on that. So that, I'm going to give you a minute now. Go down each of those bullet points: income, savings and debt, your valuable possessions. Do you have a strong understanding of money? Do you have a strong understanding of money management? And what are your attitudes towards money? Do you feel like you have the right to succeed? And do you value your time? So just from 1 to 5 in your financial piece of pie there, rate from where do you think you're at? Think you're at 1? Do you think you're at 5? If you're at 5, well, good for you, really. That's fantastic.
You mean like rate overall or each individually?
Overall, but take all the bullet points into consideration when you're
Okay.
rating that. Any questions? Pretty clear, pretty simple, right? Okay, we're going to go on to our next asset, which is physical assets. Your housing. Is it the housing where you want to be? Do you have a dream in mind? Do you have a vision of where you'd like to be? Do you want to live right downtown in a city? Do you want to live on the beach? I would personally, my dream would be to live on the ocean somewhere. I don't know if that will ever happen, but food, do you have enough food? And it's a very good question, especially nowadays, because I'm sure we can all attest to how expensive food is these days. It's outrageous. Especially if you're feeding teenagers, right, Lori? But no, you have girls. It's the boy teenagers that eat you out of house and home. Safety. Is your house safe? Where are you living? Is your environment safe? I know that there's certain pockets of every single city that aren't safe to live in. Your transportation, is that safe as well? I know in Northwestern Ontario, Stephanie, you would know that, living in Timmins, kind of outside of the city area. If you don't have transportation, you're kind of stuck, because they don't have transportation like they would in London, Charlotte. public transportation. I mean, we have it in Thunder Bay, and they have public transportation in Timmins, but it's not like you would find in a big center where you could hop on a bus at 10 o'clock at night, or, you know, still catch, if you're in Toronto, still catch the subway, I think at till 1 or 2 a.m. I could be wrong, but in childcare and elder care, what does that look like for you? Typically, women that are probably they get into their 40s and 50s. They call this, then you're in the sandwich generation. So sometimes you still have children at home, young adults, and then you start caring for your elderly parents as well. And you still have children at home, you're caring for your elderly parents, and you're still working full time. It's a lot. It's a lot on your plate as women. So what does that look like? Have you had that chat with your parents about, and that's a tough one. Have you had that conversation with them about what does it look like as they're getting older? What are their expectations? What are your expectations? So go through each of these bullet points: the housing, food, safety, transportation, child elder care. And now rate yourself 1 to 5 in your physical asset piece of pie. Any questions at this point around the physical assets? Pretty straightforward, and it's kind of fun at the end when you get to it and you can see what areas you think you're weak in and what areas you know you're strong in. So our next asset block is our human assets. This is your ability to set goals for the future. Can you do that? And the future doesn't have to be 10 years out or even 5 years out. What does it look like in the net? If you're in business or thinking of business, what does that look like in the next quarter? Think about, you know, goals could be short-term and long-term. Do you have the ability to set goals? What does that look like? Your mental and physical health. And I think we can all talk about, especially our mental health coming out of COVID. That was tricky. That was a tricky time in our lives, that's for sure, when we were all housebound. And I mean, it was good that we were at least able to go outside and walk and so on, but yeah, I'm sure it did a number on our mental health, is sure, for sure. Education and skills. You know, I like, Stephanie, that you said that you're hopping onto things that PARO is presenting, because these are free to you, and if you can just pick up a little nugget of information along the way, good for you. And if you can apply it, employability, the ability to work and retain work. I mean, we all know people that have had a gazillion jobs. They can get work, but they can't seem to hang on to it. And then, do you have the ability to continue to learn and develop skills? Some people get into a job. I know I worked with a woman just last year and hated change. She couldn't handle change, even if it was the slightest of change. And you have to be able to be flexible enough to learn things as you're going, especially if you're starting a business or thinking of being in business. Any questions about human assets before we rate ourselves? 1 to 5. Okay, we'll move on to our 4th asset. No, yeah. Social assets. What does it look like for your family? Do you have strong family support? Would you change that? Because sometimes friends can become like family as well. Sometimes you need friends more than your family, let's face it. I know if you're starting a business or you are in business, it sure makes a difference to have the support of your family. Sometimes family can ruin that for you. Friends, are your friends supportive as well on your decisions in business or in life? And your community. How involved are you in your community? I know in Thunder Bay here, PARO has its own community of women. There's, you know, Chamber of Commerce, there's business women's groups. There's lots of things that you can become involved with in your community. There's church, and your leadership skills. Now, you're talking about leadership skills. I'm not talking about standing on a soapbox on a corner. Talking about, are you able to even lead in your family? Let's say, are you able to lead your children? These are leadership skills. Political literacy in action. Do you understand what the political arena looks like? I know that's something I'm weak on. I know I could certainly use more education around all of that. Do you know who to go to if you really need a political person on your side? Do you know what that looks like in your community? So family, friends, community, your leadership skills, political literacy in action, and your social assets. Rate yourself 1 to 5 at this time and see where you're at. Or even beside each bullet point, think about what you could improve. Like I say, mine would be my political literacy for sure. Any questions about social assets, asset block? Okay, so we'll move on to our next asset block, which is personal assets. So these asset blocks are going to go through, and then I'm going to quickly go through them once again, but they relate to specifically to business. So your personal assets, your identity. How do you see yourself in your community? Do you think, I mean, we all have our days, let's face it, but do you see yourself as a businesswoman in your community? It takes some self-esteem to do that. Motivation is huge, as we know. We all have those days where we just want to pull the covers up over our head and not go anywhere, especially to get up and go to work. Where is that at? And some people just bounce out of bed. And your independence, are you independent to make decisions on your own? Are you independent to make financial decisions? That kind of thing. So look at each bullet point like we've done in all the other asset blocks and rate yourself 1 to 5 and see where you're at. See where you can improve your self-esteem, your motivation. Really, really think about it, where you're at. Take a minute now to rate yourself 1 to 5. Any questions? So these are your asset groups that we've just went through. So your financial assets, how did you rate yourself? At the bottom here, you'll see it says grade yourself in each asset 0. Well, 0, I think that would mean that you're dead. So I would start at 1 for sure. And 5 would be the absolute best place you could be. So where are you at with your assets, like I said? And you have the bullet points. Lori, do they have, is there a copy of this PowerPoint available or?
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to go get it and I'll drop it in the chat for everybody. Okay,
perfect. Good. So you can revisit it again and see where it's at. So moving along, I'm just going to, like I said, now we're going to do the assets again, but it's going to be related specifically to business. So your human assets. If you want to draw another pie, go ahead. Either that or just put, you can put a column business and then personal and rate them 1 to 5. Your human assets, are you ready to do business? Do you have business skills? I think, Laura, you could probably attest to this. I think probably the biggest weakness that we see at PARO when women come in is the financials. Would you agree with that, Lori? Yeah, I think as soon as people start to see projected
Yeah,
income
sorry.
Yeah,
I
okay.
it wouldn't let me. I was just trying to put the stuff in the chat there and I was locked on the screen.
Oh.
I would agree. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and that typically is what happens when we pull up the projected income statements for, I think for the first 3 years, you kind of like a deer in headlights at first. And then once you get going on it, you know, but you need to know where your money's at all time when you're in business. You really do. What related skills do you need? Even if it's something as simple as Zoom, that would also fall under training and technical skills. Setting goals and focus under your human assets and your health and wellness. Very, very important. Going back to when we were in COVID and being on Zoom, we were all sitting way too much, not moving enough. So it's important that, I mean, we need to keep healthy. So those are the human assets if you're ready to do business. So rate yourself 1 to 5. If you're in business, you're thinking of business, where are you at with your human assets in business? Your financial assets. We touched a little bit on that. So your financial knowledge. You need to know what money's coming in and what money's going out. And when is it a good time to make decisions, such as if you wanted to rent office space, can you really afford it? Can you afford staff? Because there's, you're hiring staff. It takes a lot of money to have staff, and then if you want to get health benefits for them, all of that. So financial skills, there's tons and tons and tons of free information out there for financial skills for your business. Credit, this is a big one. Even if you're applying for let's say government grants, typically they want you to put some money up front, or what they want to do is they want you to purchase things. Is that what's going, Lori, with most of the grants still? Is that let's say you need a computer or so on and so forth that you're getting a grant for, you purchase it and then they reimburse you?
Yes.
Yeah, see, yeah. So you have to know where your credit is for that as well. And your possessions and equity. What do you have? If you're just starting business, what do you have that you can bring into the business? What equity would you have? What does that look like? So take a minute, rate that 1 to 5 for your business partner of your financial assets. Are you ready for the money, honey? Any questions around that? You're okay. We'll move right along to physical assets. Are you ready for your material assets? So again, they're saying housing and environment here. Business location. That's a big one in business. Depending on what business you have, you want people to know you're out there for sure. I know I had a business and I had an office in an old hospital here in Thunder Bay, and I had no signage outside. But in my 5th year, I decided to move to more of a storefront that had lots of traffic going by, and I could see it reflected in my revenue over the years. People became more familiar with the business, and there was parking. That was a big one. And it was a good move, but you have to make sure you can afford it as well. Food, clothing, necessities, clothing. Let's just say, if you're running a business, what are you doing? Presentations? Do you have any professional outfits to wear? There are places out there that can help you with that. Access to services and resources. If you're struggling with any of these, certainly reach out to PARO. We can help you with all of these bullet points here. So take a minute now and rate physical assets in regards to your business, 1 to 5. Where are you at with that? Any questions? Are you ready to connect? This is a big one as well. Your networks and alliances. I would say probably, I can't even think of a business that wouldn't require networks or relationship building. I can't think of one. If anybody does, speak up, but that's typically how businesses are built, is through, especially a service industry, through referrals. And remember, you're only as good as your last job. That's for sure. So think about your networks and alliances. Typically, if you're involved with women's groups, especially business women's groups, they're there to support each other. They want to support you. So get involved with those. Communications and marketing. How are you going to communicate? How are you going to communicate to people that you're in business, and what do you do, and so on? I mean, there's Instagram, there's Facebook. I don't know, give me some other ideas. I can't, I know now doing things like
LinkedIn is an amazing platform. Like you can do almost all your business off of LinkedIn.
I'm sorry, what was that?
LinkedIn? Like LinkedIn?
Right, yes, of course. Yeah. Yeah, LinkedIn's good. But yeah, and it's one of those things that you have to keep on top of all the time. I know I think if I went to my LinkedIn page, I probably haven't done anything in months and months and months. So, you know, what do you expect? You have to keep on top, and you have to keep fresh as well. That's the whole thing when you're in business. Relationships and human resources. This is, like I had said, this is really, really big. It's all about relationships in business. Support systems. Women, I find, are very supportive of each other when you're in business groups. And if you're not in a business group, start a business group. Have you heard of PARO circles? Everyone heard of PARO circles? It's a group of 4 to 7 women, business women. You can't be related, and you can form a circle. You can be different businesses. And then there is the opportunity to borrow money as well. You can start as low as $500 and build up to $5,000. If you want more information about that, reach out to PARO. So take a minute now and connect, not connect. It's the wrong word. Take a minute now and rate yourself 1 to 5 in your social assets. Where do you think you're at with your business? With your networks, communications and marketing, relationships and human resources, and your support systems. There's lots of support systems out there for business. And our personal assets. Are you ready to be me? Are you ready to be you? How's your motivation? Kind of falls into this. This is your business asset for personal assets, but it really falls into the same one as personal assets, with it under your personal piece of pie. Your motivation, self-esteem and independence. Again, resilience. Resilience is a big one. As we know, resilience is huge in life. When you're in business, and we all know when we're talking to people, and I'm sure, especially now when we're talking to people that are in business, and this is how it goes. So we were moving along, we were doing this, our sales were going up, and then COVID hit. We were doing this, and then COVID hit. And then, I mean, you hear that all the time now. And then COVID hit, and then COVID hit. But, you know, those that, there's that word pivoted, or, and they just carried on, they're resilient. Some businesses, you know, I mean, if you were an esthetician or hairdresser, I mean, some were hit really, really hard. but it's being resilient and knowing that now that we're kind of coming out on the other side, that you can bounce back. Balance. I have a problem with this word balance in business and life. I don't really know anybody that has this down pat. Do you, Stephanie? Do you know anybody that has?
Like the balance between like your work life and personal life?
Yes, yeah.
I still have a pretty good balance for that,
Good.
just because I just started in May. So I'm at that point where it's like a huge life change. So I'm still trying to just keep business and like home, and
Good for you.
it's hard some days. Some days I'm like, oh my God, did I do this? Or like, oh, I have this. But then I'm like, okay, write it down, put it away, and then move on.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I have that one down pat, but the rest is
Yeah, it's really tricky, especially for women. Charlotte, did you want to say something?
No, I'm good.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No, I like to say, oh, work-life balance. Oh, I'm perfect at it. I change the bar all the time.
Yeah, I'm your typical wake up at 2 a.m. and then, you know, I'll start thinking, and then I think, no, just change your thoughts. Okay, now deep breathe. And then my mind drifts off again. And then don't look at the clock. I do this almost every night. Don't look at the clock. And then it's 4 a.m.
Sometimes you can actually listen to it. Like I've actually like, okay, what I'm trying to engage in, and it's actually not too bad, just to take 5 minutes and actually unpack whatever you woke up with.
That's very good advice.
Just give it a shot.
Very good advice. So here I am presenting the sustainable livelihoods model, and this whole balance thing is way off for me. So for me to probably list from 1 to 5 in my personal assets, I'd probably be about 2.5 right now. Anyway, so that's certainly something I have to work on. So now I want you to look at what you did here, okay? And where can you see in which asset area where you need improvement? Is anybody brave enough to share where they're at, or and trust me, I know just from being this age in my life, things just kind of evolve over the years, and your mind changes and things change and so on.
Honestly, the business structure is just consulting. I'm going and engaging director level with my service product.
Good.
So I've kind of rated myself, and honestly, I think this is a gender thing. Like I'm 47, I kind of figured, oh, I'm a 2 at all, right? Like, but I like to think of it today in a more positive way, that I'm wide open to what I don't know. Like this experience is so new to me. I'm a continuous change agent. So whatever I'm learning, I'm gonna learn more on, I'm just really kind of flexible going into it. And I wouldn't even say like financially I'm in the best position, but I like this whole, like I have a lot of faith that once I get into some doors and sell this product, I'm gonna rock and roll, right? So
right, yeah.
I definitely I got to do, we talked about the physical assets, I went to got to get fit. So I got a call from my YMCA membership saying, are you gonna show up? Like a thing. And I said, oh, and the Y does that. So that's where my head went. So I appreciate that's where it inspires us, like where we need to be inspired, right? So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Certainly I'm not married, I don't have children, so you can kind of see how free I am about things, but definitely I'd like to have the more team kind of aspect from the human. So you brought up lots to know about financial, right? So
Yes.
I'm kind of more geared to, I look on LinkedIn, who wants to run the finances of this business kind of point of view, and not get into it. Because honestly, I have quite a few entrepreneurs in the family, and we just get into trouble. We can't possibly, it's hard because it's hard. It's a roadblock because it's a real roadblock. And the skill set's serious. Like, people go to school for years to do these kind of financial business structures. And
Absolutely.
I prefer to keep my mind on strategically, who am I engaging as directors? Where am I getting my business? That's my focus. So I appreciate the seminar, because it's like, okay, help me decide, right? Where's my Charlotte's brain space need to be? And it's on the business and engaging people. So yeah, if anybody so through PARO, I'm sure you have access to women entrepreneurs who,
yes,
have a couple hours a week to do these kind of businesses.
yes, yeah, absolutely. So let's set some goals now. Think about it. Where would you like your assets to change in the next 6 months? Think about that. Over the next year, over the next 5 years, think about, what does that look like? And have a big vision. Don't limit yourself to, well, maybe I'll pick up 1 or 2 more clients. No, think, hey, no, I'm going to be super successful. You know what? But success is whatever success looks like for you. Don't let anybody else try to tell you what success is. It is, what does success look like for you? So think about that. 6 months, the next year, over the next 5 years. I'm just looking at our time here. Okay, so describe your business success? Why can't I say that? Success now. Just describe your business success now. And where would you like your business to be in 3 years? 6 months, 3 years, 5 years. Maybe you won't even be in business in that amount of time. I had a business for 9 years, and I had somebody approach me last year and wanted to buy my business, and I sold it. So you just never know. You never know. That's why I'm back at PARO again. Okay, this is a big one. So how will I get there? Only you can make it happen. I mean, you have to surround yourself with the right people. What is that saying? I usually mix these things up. Your net worth is the 5 closest people to you, or something. Have you heard that saying? See, of course I got it all mixed up. Anyway, don't hang around with toxic people. Hang out with women that are positive and want to see you do well, and celebrate your successes and allow it to make it happen. This is making the effort, but this is the biggest one. Showing up is big. Showing up, and I always say to women, okay, because we can all attest to this now. When you're calling a business now, if it usually goes to voicemail, or they have the phone tree, press 1, press 2. How many times do you call a business now and somebody actually picks up the phone and you can talk to a live person? That is such a treat. I say to women now, just answer your phone. You wouldn't believe how much business you'll get with that. Just answer your phone. And people will think, wow, they actually answer their phone. I can talk to someone live. Because I have a mosquito in here, just a minute. So that's a big one. Just show up, answer your phone. Set realistic and clear goals. Review your progress weekly, monthly, annually. And the biggest one is celebrate your achievements along the way. Now, I think what I want to tell you was, remember at the beginning, I told you about the research we did with the 10 women that were in business. And after 2 years, they were tracking each asset, financial, social, human, personal, and physical. Guess which one, after tracking and checking in with women and surrounding with the right people, guess which asset gained the most momentum over 2 years of 10 women connecting with each other?
They're all connecting with each other and helping each other out.
Yeah, because to us it was really evident how well this model works. Pardon?
Social asset?
No, it was financial. The financial so once you have all your assets in place, you'll be surprised at how well your business will automatically do financially. Not automatically, I mean, it certainly takes work and thought, but we found that very, very interesting after our research, that was the asset that people rated themselves highest in after 2 years of doing this every 3 months. Our
Well,
research. We thought it was fascinating.
I said, I hope their business gets off the ground.
See?
No, that's great. No, yeah, I really appreciate. I had heard about that Connect for the groups through PARO.
Yeah. So, and then the founder of PARO, she has a quote: "You can be anything you want to be, but first you have to know what you want, and that is the hard part." And that is the hard part. What exactly is it that you want out of life? You do need to set goals and work towards them. That's your key to business success. And revisiting them is essential. Absolutely. And that's why, like I said, the research we did for 2 years, every 3 months, the women would rate themselves and their assets. They could talk to each other, gave each other ideas, and so on. We're the biggest support system. When all was said and done, all of their assets increased, but the biggest one was the financial, which we thought was, yeah, pretty great. So here we are. We have about 10 minutes left here. So Lori said she was going to drop this in.
Yeah, I put it in the chat there.
Okay, great. Okay, good.
If anybody can download it for whatever reason, just let me know and I can always send it as well. Okay,
great. So we use this asset mapping for many things. This is if anybody's involved with, let's say, a nonprofit or sits on a board of directors for any organizations, this is a great asset, the sustainable livelihood model. See how you can use it personally, in business, organizationally. It's really a fascinating tool to use. So we put this slide in here. So if you sit on a board and you ever want to do some strategic planning, then this is a great tool to use. When I think it was about 15 years ago at PARO, when we were as an employee at the time, we had to do this asset mapping where we thought we were as an employee at PARO. And that was interesting too. Like I said, you can use it for many, many things. Well, I think we have come to the end of our Sustainable Livelihoods model presentation for today. Any questions, any epiphanies, anything anybody would like to share?
Did you mention this was out of the Tamarack?
Yeah, look up, I believe it, no, I'm sorry, it wasn't Tamarack. It was,
the program is out of Thunder Bay, like that you guys generated this and then did this is amazing work.
Like I said, Google it. Google Sustainable Livelihoods model. And I believe it was developed in the UK, but there was a couple of women out of Toronto that presented it to us here in Thunder Bay. I think I can think of her names because it was 15 years ago. And
was it Carol?
Pardon?
Was it Carol?
I don't
know. Why? You know what? I see the woman. I see her.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Carol wasn't part of them, right? It was The other lady, okay, yeah. Oh, you know what? Nordic? Was it Nordic?
Nordic Institute?
Was it?
No.
No, maybe not.
No,
Sorry.
Um,
I think I'm just fascinated, like about like the strategic mindedness of business, coming in manufacturing and as a change agent, and like how do we use metrics to drive change? But like some models are like they love conflict, right?
yeah,
And they the mentality is it drives people to compete. But like these kind of softer, like I always kind of go back to that Moody, was it hierarchy of needs?
yes, yes,
And just as a manager, as as how I serve the needs of my customers and clients is like, what are their needs, right? And kind of starting at that point. But that's a different perspective from the world I've come from.
yes, yeah. Any of these models, like you say, or what was another one? The Myers-Briggs. Have you done the Myers-Briggs? That's a good one as well. But yes, like I said, the sustainable livelihood model, we've done strategic planning with PARO. What does that look like? We have introduced it to other organizations when they're doing strategic planning for their boards or their organization. We've done it with staff, for small groups, large groups. Yeah, so.
Well, it's almost a service, to be honest, Suzanne, to, hey, here, 8 hours, we'll walk you through with a client through these steps, because
Right.
fundamentally, like as much as I'm having fun wandering kind of through these seminars and stuff, I have to, go out and see clients and put my website out. And
Oh, for sure.
that guide, like to be guided, especially midlife, the superpowers of the women I've met are the ability to take on like really fabulous new roles, like just really flexible minds.
Yes.
And I'm inspired that, hey, this person went from a forklifter to an inspirational speaker. Okay.
Yeah, I know it's pretty fascinating about some women's stories, that's for sure. Yeah. I was working with a client here in Thunder Bay. I love this story. And she was doing she was looking at a YouTube and she thought, gee, I recognize that guy. I recognize him. Anyway, it turns out that she got in touch with him and they went to Bible camp as kids together in a pokey little town around Thunder Bay. And he's now living in Los Angeles. And of course, he's charging a lot of money to take his course. And she was working as a sessional teacher at a private college. And they were given COVID bonus pay. I hadn't heard of that, but she received a check and it was for the same amount of money as he wanted for the course. So yeah, it was all meant to be. It's all that. I like using the term, it was all green lights. So when it's all green lights, you're on the right track.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So
yeah, I remember I actually worked in Timmins like 20 years ago. And yeah, and I don't know where I was gonna go.
Well, that's the thing about the North, Stephanie. In Thunder Bay, you can be a big fish in a small pond. Charlotte, yeah, you have a big population there and surrounding areas and so on. Sometimes it's a little.
It's so like such a remote industry today. Like you can really like look at what's moving.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess that's it for today. Like Lori said, she put the presentation in the chat, and we have chat here. Show chat previews. Okay.
Well, thanks so much, Suzanne. It was fabulous.
Oh,
that was great.
Thank you. You're very welcome. Thank you for attending. Reach out with any questions. If you go on the PARO website, log on and make yourself a client of PARO. Make sure that you're getting emails. And then there's also be the business to business. You can log on to that. Just go to the website. There's so many things available that are free. In all your spare time, ladies. Haha. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your summer. Enjoy the long weekend coming up.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks everybody for joining, and thank you, Suzanne, for presenting. Really appreciate that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.